Good morning. Today we are working on CO27, and I forgot, if you get notes, come up and get your notes page. So CO27, I can use rates and unit rates to compare to numbers and quantities. So rates and unit rates to compare these. This is very similar to the ratios. Okay, very similar. So we're continuing on with the same thoughts. Slightly different, because now instead of a ratio, it's a rate. But we're going to think, okay, we know how to work with this. We're just going a step further, looking at that ratio as a rate. So a rate compares a unit to another unit. So when we had how many cats, how many dogs, okay, comparing the cats to dogs, right? A unit to another unit. So an example would be miles per hour. So when you are in a car going on the highway, you might be thinking, how fast can we go? How many miles per hour can we go? This is similar to a ratio. So we know how to work with ratios. We're going to use that same thought to work with the rates. So we're going to write each statement as a rate, and then we're going to write an equivalent rate. Now when I do rates, I choose the ratio that is the fraction. Okay, doesn't always have to look that way, but most typically when you see a rate, you'll see it as a fraction. So when we say miles per hour, so on the highway you might go 60 miles every hour. So if the speed limit is 60, that's 60 miles per hour. That's how fast you can go. And we'll see it written as a fraction, 60 miles per hour. So thinking about that, you can mow 2 lawns in 3 hours. How do you think I want to write that? Any guesses? Adeline? So 2, because that's our first number, over the 3. Notice how I drew that line big. Why do you think I drew that line long? What else do we have to put on there, Lexi? Yeah, we have to label it. When it comes to rates, we have to label. When it comes to rates, we must put our labels. This is going to come in handy as we go through math. So in this objective, you go, well, but why? It's just extra writing. You'll see why as we go through. So 2 lawns in 3 hours. We're going to write those labels. Okay. Let's look at our next one. You can eat 16, oh wait, before we move on, said write each statement as a rate. We did the first one. We need to do the second part of the direction. Write an equivalent rate. What could be an equivalent rate? Emma? I could multiply it by 10 and say 20 lawns in 30 hours. Does it have to be by 10? No. When it comes to those equivalent rates, equivalent fractions, you get to choose what you're multiplying by. My mind usually goes to multiply by 2. I like to multiply by 2 because I know my multiples of 2 so well. Multiplying by 10, just have to put that 0 on the end. Okay, go with what works for you. Let's look at our second one. You can eat 16 eggs in 12 hours. What do you think I should write? Maddie?
16 eggs over 12 hours.
Love how you remember to include those labels. So that is our original rate. Now we need to write an equivalent one. What could be an equivalent rate to this, Bridget? 8 eggs in 6 hours. What did Bridget do here? Did she multiply up? No, she divided down. And you can do that. You can multiply up, you can divide down. She divided by 2. We could have also multiplied by 2 and said 32 eggs in 24 hours. Okay. If it's a bigger numbers, you can always simplify down. That's still an equivalent fraction. Multiplying up, dividing down by that same scale factor. You're going to do the next ones on your own, but before you do that, I need to scroll up so we can look at what a unit rate is. A unit rate is more specific than just a regular rate. So let's look to see what is a unit rate. Our definition is the unit rate is a rate with a denominator of 1. So in my example up above, I said 60 miles in 1 hour. That is a unit rate. A unit rate is a special kind of rate. Sometimes you can take the regular rate and turn it into that unit rate. Not sometimes, you can always turn a unit rate into a unit rate. So you have the unit rate means the denominator is 1. So for each rate below, write the unit rate and show your work. You're going to show me what you divided by to get it. So if we have 100 miles over 2 hours, how do I make that a unit rate? What do you think I have to do? What do you think, James?
Divided by 2.
Why would I divide it by 2, James?
Because 2 divided by 2 equals 1.
2 divided by 2 equals 1. We want to get that 1 on the bottom. Anytime you want to get a 1, you divide the number by itself. Because it is equivalent, we're going to use that 2 as that scale factor. We're going to divide both the numerator and denominator by it. So what would my numerator be? Jack?
50.
50. Notice how I am keeping my labels on here. So I can go 50 miles in 1 hour if I'm going 100 miles in 2 hours. Let's look at our next one. $8.88 for 4 cartons. What do I have to do to find my unit rate? Emma? I'm going to divide by 4 because I want that denominator to go down to 1. 4 divided by 4 makes me 1 carton. Whatever I divided my denominator by, I divide my numerator by. So what would $8.88 divide down to? Lila? $2.22. That's 8 divided by 4 is 2, 8 divided by 4 is 2, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So what do you think this is telling me? If the store's having a sale and says you can buy 4 cartons of eggs for $8.88, what do you think, why would we want to do this, Emma? It's telling us that for every carton we're buying, we're paying $2.22. It's telling us how much it would be to buy just one. Instead of having to buy four, maybe all my kids are off for the weekend and it's just me and Mr. Gambino. I don't need 4 cartons of eggs. That's a lot of eggs. I want to get just one. So I need to be able to figure out how much that's going to cost me. So I'm going to look at that unit rate. We're going to do the same concept for the rest of these. Remember, we are always turning that denominator into the scale factor, what we're dividing by, so we end up with that 1 on the bottom. So for unit rate, you always divide the top and the bottom by that denominator. Nolan?
Use a calculator to check our answers.
Yes, you can use a calculator to check your answers. On the bottom, there is a word problem. Thomas can run 15 laps in 5 minutes. That's a rate. You're going to want to set it up as a rate. Jan can run 24 laps in 6 minutes. That's another rate. And Carol can run 18 laps in 9 minutes. Who is running the fastest? What do we have to do to figure out who's running the fastest? It says use the unit rate to explain how you know. So what do we have to do, Lila? Make all 3 of those rates into a unit rate so they all have the 1 on the bottom. Common denominator, we can compare them. Okay, so when you're working with those unit rates, it's easy to compare because they all have that 1 as a denominator. Are there any questions on this page? When you are finished working this lesson out today, you've got several things we need to do. Check to make sure you have Khan Academy done. That is due tomorrow. If you do not have Khan done, I expect you to be working on it. If you have your device open, what is the only thing we are using our devices for today? James? Khan Academy. I should not see devices open if you are done with Khan. I should not see devices open and doing stuff for a different class. This is math class. We are just going to do math today. Okay, so Khan Academy, if you're all done with Khan Academy, what should you work on? Liam?
Math packet.
Math packet. I don't have anybody who has 100% yet. So make sure you're turning it in. Today, we've got some work time. You can turn it in to me at my desk and I can check it right away for you. Make sure you're working on that math packet. It is due next week, Friday. James?
I thought I got 100% on my Khan.
I don't know. That's for you to check. I have it logged into Blackboard.
I don't have my computer because when I opened it, it was just like
Okay,
typing.
so if you don't have your device with you, obviously either way you can't work on time. So what should you work on, James?
I don't know. Math packet.
There you go. Okay, so working on that math packet. Any questions on my expectations for math class? All right, quietly working. If you are watching at home and you have questions, please come see me tomorrow. I hope you are well and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.